Good morning to all. I, Manpreet Kaur, Convener and Head Department of Economics, have the pleasure of welcoming you all on one-day national webinar, Decoding the Economic Shock Caused by COVID-19. On behalf of the college management, principal and staff of Guru Nanak College, Giliamali. Hope you all are safe and healthy. Request you all to please turn off your webcam and mute your microphones. You may use your headphones for better sound quality. But please turn off your cameras and mute. So now I would like to request our respected principal, Dr. Tinder Singh Thakur, to formally welcome our dignitaries and our delegates.
Hello, madam. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Good morning to all. Respected dignitary, teachers, students, and research scholars. Welcome on national webinars. Topic: Decoding the Economic Shock caused by COVID-19. Our today's chief guest, Professor Sanjeev Kaushik ji, Dean College Development Council and Honorary Director ICSSR, Punjab Institute, Chandigarh. Due to the unavoidable circumstances, at this moment, they cannot connect with us. Later on, they can join our webinar. Our today's keynote speaker, Bikram Singh, Associate Professor in Economics, SPM College, Mukeria. And today's our resource persons, Dr. Pooja, Assistant Professor in Economics, University Institution of Law, Punjab University Regional Center, Ludhiana. Welcome to all the dignitaries. Our today's topic is decoding the economic shocks caused by the COVID-19. Novel coronavirus has break up havoc in today's world, stopping life as we all know it. The effects of pandemic have all over the world mostly showed very negative result. It has shuttered the world economy toward the recession. During the period of nationwide lockdown, millions of people were forced to stay at home. They have changed their lifestyles and buying habits also. They are also required to continue until the things get better. In this scenario of COVID-19 pandemic, we can manage our lifestyles by sincerely adopting the guideline issued by the central as well as state and local government. The spread of COVID-19 will not go down quickly unless we all understand the behavior of each of us. If irresponsible, will create direct cost to the community. To boost the economy of India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi address in the month of June and gave the 5 pillars to boost our Indian economy. Atmanirbhar Bharat. The first pillar is economy. एक ऐसी इकोनॉमी जो इंक्रीमेंटल चेंज नहीं बल्कि क्वांटम चेंज जंप लाए. दूसरा एस्पेक्ट उसमें इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, एक ऐसा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर जो आधुनिक भारत की पहचान बने. तीसरा सिस्टम, एक ऐसा सिस्टम जो बीती शताब्दी की रीति नीति नहीं बल्कि 21वीं शताब्दी के सपनों को साकार करने वाली टेक्नोलॉजी व्यवस्थाओं पर आधारित हो. चौथा एस्पेक्ट डेमोग्राफी. दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी डेमोक्रेसी में हमारी वाइब्रेंट डेमोग्राफी हमारी ताकत है. आत्मनिर्भर भारत के लिए हमारी ऊर्जा का स्रोत है. पांचवा हमारा डिमांड. हमारी अर्थव्यवस्था में डिमांड एंड सप्लाई चेन का जो चक्कर है, सर्कल है, वो ताकत है. उसे पूरी क्षमता के साथ हमें इस्तेमाल करना चाहिए. ये गवर्नमेंट दिन बाय दिन जो अब इस कोविड-19 की जो पेंडेमिक है सारे विश्व को जिसने इफेक्ट किया है, इससे निपटने के लिए गवर्नमेंट हर एक दिन कोई ना कोई जो है वो स्टेप ले रही है जिससे कि हमारी इकोनॉमी जो है वो बूस्ट हो। उसके साथ उन्होंने एक सजेशन दिए थे कि अगर हमारी इकोनॉमी को हमने बूस्ट करना है तो उसके लिए हमें जो वो नीड ऑफ आवर्स कुछ हमें बोल्ड रिफॉर्म्स करने होंगे। और वो बोल्ड रिफॉर्म में उन्होंने दिया था कि नंबर 1 उसने कहा था कि सप्लाई चेन रिफॉर्म्स फॉर एग्रीकल्चर में हमें ऐसे चेंजेस लाना पड़ेंगे जिससे कि भारत जो है वो आत्मनिर्भर बने। रैशनल टैक्स सिस्टम, जो पुराने टैक्स सिस्टम चले आ रहे हैं उन टैक्स सिस्टम में मॉडिफिकेशन करके ताकि लोगों को कम से कम जो है वो हरासमेंट फील हो, तो उन्होंने ऐसा एक सिस्टम क्रिएट हो जिससे कि लोगों को कम से कम जो वाइब्रेशन हो। सिंपल एंड क्लियर लॉज, क्योंकि हमारे इंडिया के जो लॉ हैं बहुत ज्यादा कंफ्यूजिंग हैं, बहुत ज्यादा उनमें जो है वो लीगलिटी है तो लोगों को पता नहीं चलता है। तो उसके बारे में उन्होंने कहा कि ऐसा हमारा लॉ सिस्टम होना चाहिए जिससे कि आम नागरिक को भी उसके बारे में जो है नॉलेज हो। कैपेबल ह्यूमन सोर्सेज, हमें अगर आत्मनिर्भर भारत बनाना है तो हमारी जो वो हमारे पास जो रिसोर्सेज हैं, चाहे वो हमारे ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज हैं, चाहे हमारे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हैं, चाहे हमारे जो वो मैन पावर है, उस मैन पावर को जो है वो हमें बूस्ट करना पड़ेगा, उसको हमें ट्रेन करना पड़ेगा। और उसी को मद्देनजर रखते हुए जो है वो प्राइम मिनिस्टर नरेंद्र मोदी ने बार बार कहा है कि मेक इन इंडिया, हम मेक इन इंडिया की वोकल फॉर लोकल, यानी कि हम जितना ज्यादा हम अपने लोगों को, अपनी जो है वो पीपल्स को जो वो स्किल करने की कोशिश करेंगे, जितना ज्यादा उनके अंदर स्किल डेवलप होगा उतना ज्यादा ही हमारा भारत जो है वो आत्मनिर्भर होगा। और आत्मनिर्भर अगर भारत बनेगा तो उससे क्या होगा कि हमारी इकोनॉमी जो वो स्ट्रांग होगी, और जब हमारी इकोनॉमी जो स्ट्रांग होगी तभी इंडिया जो है वो वर्ल्ड की एक सुपर पावर बन पाएगा। तो हमारे पास जो है वो कैपेबल ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेस होना चाहिए एंड स्ट्रांग फाइनेंशियल सिस्टम। हमारा जो फाइनेंशियल सिस्टम है उसको जो है वो स्ट्रांग करने के लिए जब तक हमारा फाइनेंस सिस्टम स्ट्रांग नहीं होगा, और उसको स्ट्रांग हमारा फाइनेंस सिस्टम तभी होगा जब हम अपने आप के ऊपर आत्मनिर्भर बनेंगे। जितना ज्यादा अभी हम दूसरी कंट्रीज के ऊपर जो है वो डिपेंड रहेंगे उतना ज्यादा ही हमें जो है वो हमारा फाइनेंस सिस्टम जो है स्ट्रांग नहीं होगा। इसीलिए मेक इन इंडिया की बात करते हैं, आत्मनिर्भर भारत की बात करते हैं, और इसमें जो है वो हम अपने ऊपर जो अपने पैरों के ऊपर खड़े होने की बात करते हैं। ये सारी बातें तभी हमारे पास हो सकती हैं जब इंडिया जो है वो एक आत्मनिर्भर भारत बने, अपने ऊपर निर्भर बने। और आज का जो टॉपिक है कि इस पेंडेमिक ने जो है वो एक पूरे वर्ल्ड के ऊपर, पूरी इकोनॉमी के ऊपर, वर्ल्ड की इकोनॉमी के ऊपर जो इफेक्ट डाला है, उसमें ये नहीं कि हमारा इंडिया ही उससे इफेक्ट हुआ है, उससे पूरा वर्ल्ड, जो हमारी जो डेवलप कंट्री है, हमारी इंडिया जो कंट्री है वो अंडर डेवलप कंट्री है। इसमें अभी तक हमारे जो डेवलप कंट्री है उनकी इकोनॉमी भी बुरी तरह से क्रैश हुई है, और उस इकोनॉमी को क्रैश करने के लिए जो है वो हमें अपने आप को आत्मनिर्भर बनाना पड़ेगा। हमारा जो माइंड सेट है उस माइंड सेट को हमें अपने ऊपर जो वो मेक इन इंडिया के ऊपर लाना पड़ेगा। और जब तक हम अपने मेक इन इंडिया के ऊपर नहीं लाएंगे तब तक जो है वो हम अपनी इकोनॉमी को जो स्ट्रांग नहीं कर सकते हैं। और जब तक हमारी इकोनॉमी सर्वाइव नहीं करेगी, हमारी इकोनॉमी जो वो सर्वाइव तभी होगी, जब तक हमारे सर्वाइव तभी हो पाएगी जब हम अपने आप को आत्मनिर्भर बनाने की कोशिश करेंगे। और अगर हमारी इकोनॉमी सर्वाइव करेंगी तो इंडिया दोबारा से जो सपना, जो प्राइम मिनिस्टर नरेंद्र मोदी का जो सपना है कि भारत को सर्वश्रेष्ठ दुनिया की सुप्रीम पावर बनाना, वो तभी बन पाएगा जब हमारी इकोनॉमी जो है वो स्ट्रांग होगी। और इसी के साथ जो है वो इन्होंने इसका एक इफेक्ट हमारी इकोनॉमी के ऊपर पड़ा, हमारी इंडस्ट्री के ऊपर पड़ा, हमारे जो है वो बिजनेस के ऊपर पड़ा, स्मॉल बिजनेस के ऊपर पड़ा। और जो हमारा बिजनेस उससे इतना ज्यादा इफेक्ट हुआ कि अब लोगों को, कईयों को रोजगार की आ रही है। तो हर एक स्टेट गवर्नमेंट जो है वो उन लोगों को जो है वो प्रधानमंत्री ग्रामीण विकास योजना के तहत, नरेगा के तहत लोगों को रोजगार दे रही है ताकि उनकी जो रोजी रोटी जो है वो छीने नहीं, बनी रहे। उनको जो अपना रोजगार, उनका जो डे टू डे की जो वो उनकी जो नीड्स हैं वो पूरी होती रहे। तो उसने एक तरफ तो हमारी इकोनॉमी सिस्टम को इफेक्ट किया, और उसको सर्वाइव करने के लिए हमारी गवर्नमेंट बार बार कह रही है कि आत्मनिर्भर भारत की बात कर रही है। तो उस आत्मनिर्भर भारत को बनाने के लिए हम सभी का उसमें जो है वो कंट्रीब्यूशन होना बहुत जरूरी है। और जब तक इंडिया के लोगों का माइंड सेट जो है वो अपना मेक इन इंडिया के तरफ नहीं जाएगा तब तक हमारी इकोनॉमी जो है वो सर्वाइव नहीं कर पाएगी। गवर्नमेंट जो मर्जी पॉलिसी बनाती रहे, पर उस पॉलिसी को इम्प्लीमेंटेशन करना, उसको फुलफिल करना, वो इंडियन सिटीजन्स की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बनती है। तो एक इसका इफेक्ट हमारी इकोनॉमी के ऊपर ये पड़ा। दूसरा इफेक्ट हमारा दूसरे अदर हैंड पे पड़ा कि हमारा एजुकेशन सिस्टम ऑन द सेम ग्राउंड, एजुकेशन सिस्टम गॉट चेंज टू ऑनलाइन मोड विद ऑनलाइन क्लासेस एंड रिसर्च एस्पेक्ट्स। सो द दो हमारी जो एजुकेशन सिस्टम जो है वो, हमारे बहुत से टीचर हैं वो कभी जिन्होंने अपने व्हाट्सएप भी यूज नहीं करा था, अपने बच्चों से यूज करवाते हैं, और अपने जो आप घर के मेंबर्स हैं उनको अपने उसको हैंडल नहीं करने आता था। पर इस लॉकडाउन ने, इस पेंडेमिक ने जो है वो हमारे टीचर्स को, हमारी टीचर कम्युनिटी को जो है वो उसको, जो हमारे पास जो टेक्नोलॉजी है, एडवांस टेक्नोलॉजी है, उसको यूज करने का जो है उनको टाइम दिया और वो सीखे। और बहुत अच्छी तरह से मोस्ट ऑफ द आवर टीचिंग फैकल्टी यूज द टेक्नोलॉजी अप टू द मार्क। मैं पूरी तरह से नहीं बोलूंगा, अप टू द मार्क अभी वो उसको यूज कर रहे हैं। और उसी वजह से जो है वो हमारा आजकल देखो वेबिनार्स हो रहे हैं, ये हमारा एक नया मीडिया आ गया कि हम अपने आप को फिजिकली ना जुड़ने की बजाय जो है वो हम उसमें जो है वो फेस टू फेस, टेक्नोलॉजी के थ्रू हम फेस टू फेस जुड़ रहे हैं। तो हमारे कहीं ना कहीं हमारे एजुकेशन सिस्टम में भी चेंज आई है, और चेंज किसकी वजह से आई है? इस पेंडेमिक की वजह से। तो कोई भी अगर प्रॉब्लम आती है तो उसके दोनों ही तरह के एस्पेक्ट होते हैं, नेगेटिव भी होते हैं और पॉजिटिव भी होते हैं। तो हमें कोई भी अगर हमें कोई आपदा आती है तो उससे हमें कुछ ना कुछ सीख मिलती है, कुछ सीखने को मिलता है। तो इसी तरह से हमें अब हमारा जो सिस्टम, हमारी टीचर कम्युनिटी जो है वो, अब देखो दुनिया जान के बार बार आप देख रहे हैं कि इंटरनेशनल नेशनल वेबिनार, एफडीपी हो रहे हैं, वर्कशॉप हो रही हैं, ओरिएंटेशन प्रोग्राम्स हो रहे हैं, और ज्यादा जो है वो यानी कि टेक्नोलॉजी का यूज कर रही है। गवर्नमेंट ने भी कह दिया कि हम ऑनलाइन जो है वो टीचिंग के लिए हम एम्फसाइज करेंगे। अब यूजीसी की गाइडलाइंस आई हैं कि आगे से जब भी हमारा जो सिलेबस होगा उसमें जो 75% जो वो टीचर लेक्चर जो डिलीवर करेगा और 25% जो है वो ऑनलाइन देगा, ताकि टीचर जो है वो उसको इस मोड से जो है वो इस टेक्नोलॉजी से जो है वो अपने आप को टच रखे। तो मैं ज्यादा ना कहता हुआ फिर से मैं मैडम मनप्रीत मैडम को, डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ इकोनॉमिक्स कन्वीनर ऑफ द सेमिनार को जो है वो बधाई देता हूं, और उम्मीद करता हूं कि ये सक्सेस बहुत अच्छी तरह से सक्सेसफुल होगा। मैडम प्लीज, थैंक यू ऑल द डिग्निटरीज वंस अगेन।
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your valuable words. So now, being a convener of the webinar, I just want to speak some words about the today's webinar, Decoding the Economic Shock Caused by COVID-19. As we all know that generally decoding means to interpret or to analyze. So in this webinar, the overall discussion will be on the economic slowdown, that how the different sectors of the economy got affected by this pandemic. This pandemic proved an economic shock that because it hit both the demand and supply equally and simultaneously. The economic GDP or other indicators like capital formation, gross domestic saving investment gap, foreign direct investment, public-private consumption, agricultural performance, employment rate, and achievements of tax targets. These all are quite out of the line due to this pandemic. But rather there remains a lot of hope that Indian policymakers can put their act together earnestly, quickly, which definitely save our economy, prevent an economic recession, and bring about nation's economic and industrial transformation despite the uncertainties of the current global situation. Now, in this webinar, our chief guest, Professor Sanjay Kaushik, who is Dean College Development Council and Honorary Director, ICSSR, Punjab University, Chandigarh. He is affiliated to Business and Management, Punjab University, Chandigarh. Dr. Sanjay Kaushik has authored and co-authored several national and international publications, and also working as a reviewer for reputed professional journals. Dr. Sanjay Kaushik is having an active association with different societies and academies around the world. Dr. Sanjay Kaushik made his mark in his scientific community with the contributions and widely recognition from honorable subject experts around the world. Dr. Sanjay Kaushik has received several awards for the contributions to the scientific community. Dr. Sanjay Kaushik major research interest involves human resource management, journal management, and banking. Due to some reason, our chief guest is not available because of an urgent meeting in the university, so he will soon join us. Now moving toward our session, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Professor Vikram Singh. Professor Vikram Singh is Associate Professor in Economics at Swami Premanand Mahavidyalaya, Mukeria. Mr. Vikram Singh has a teaching experience of more than 20 years. We can feel his dedication for teaching profession that even after serving in civil services for some time, he preferred to serve in teaching profession. He has worked in the field of economics and more than 10 papers has been published in various journals of UGC Care List and attended more than 25 national or international seminars. Professor Singh is also a prestigious author and 4 of his books are included in the syllabus of Punjab School Education Board of +1 and +2. He has been nominated a member of Youth Welfare Committee of Punjab University, Chandigarh. He is also serving a duty of Dean and Registrar in his college, Mukeria. So now, without taking much of the time, I would invite our keynote speaker to throw some light on the main theme of the webinar. Over to you, sir. Professor Vikram Singh. Vikram Singh, sir.
Hanji, thank you very much, Madam Ji. Thanks a lot. Really very generous introduction. परमात्मा का शुक्र है कि उसने सानू एक योग बनाया कि अज मैं आप जी सारिਆਂ ਦੀ ऑगस्ट कंपनी ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ एक ਲੈਕਚਰ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਨਾਲ ਡਿਸਕਸ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਸਾਂਝੇ ਕਰਨ ਦਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਮੌਕਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਹੈ So great thanks to the Almighty God for having enabled us all in this noble cause. To begin with, I will like to thank Professor Sanjay Kaushik ji, Dean College Development Council, Punjab University, Chandigarh, an intelligent academician, a great teacher, and above all, a benevolent human being and an efficient administrator. In absentia, I welcome you, sir, and probably he will soon join us. My great thanks to the management, whole of the staff, and above all, Principal Dr. Surinder Singh Thakur ji, Principal Guru Nanak College, Jallianwala Sahib. Having met him once, you have a very versatile and charming personality, sir. It is nice to be in your company. My special thanks to my colleague of the day, resource person, Dr. Pooja Sikka ji, Assistant Professor in Economics, University Institute of Law, Punjab University, Chandigarh. It is nice to speak in the company of other speakers. So thank you very much, ma'am, and probably you are also here. Welcome also. Then whole of the staff of Guru Nanak College, Jallianwala, and above all, organizing team, Mrs. Manpreet Kaur ji, convener, Ms. Gurvinder Kaur ji, technical assistant, and Ashmish Bagla ji. Great thanks to you all. Then thanks to and welcome to all the participants for being with us, all the participants from all corners of Punjab and India probably. Then on my side, I am being helped a lot by Dr. Jyoti Sharma ji, Department of Sanskrit and my students. Thanks to them. And lastly, I will fail in my duty if I don't thank. Madam ji, disturbance aa rahi thodi, please some participants request, very humble request to mute the mic. Then my sincere thanks to brotherly and very familial person, Dr. Bharat Bhushan ji, ITOAC coordinator of the college. But for his efforts, probably this webinar wouldn't have been possible, or I wouldn't have been there. So great thanks to all of you. To begin with the webinar, the topic of the day, to a great extent, Principal Dr. Surinder Singh Thakur ji has made my job much easier. He has decoded the crisis, decoded the whole issue to a great extent. I'm deeply impressed by his insight into the economic issues and understanding of economics. So hats off to you, sir. I have divided my talk or my discussion with you in some parts. To begin with a brief outline, then the effects of the problem what we have had, then what was the response, particularly at the India level, what was done by the government. Next, I would like to discuss with you somewhat what should have been done and what are the challenges if we want to do that in future as well. In the end, we will conclude the talk and we will try to work out some conclusions or some recommendations or some policy ideas what can be done to tackle the situation. To begin with, this crisis originated as it is in public domain in Wuhan on 31st of December 2019, Wuhan, China. Their Municipal Health Commission reported that there is a viral pneumonia spreading in the township, in the area, in the district of Wuhan, and people are being affected by it severely. The report went to the WHO to explore and seek information, and within a span of 1 month, that is by 30th January 2020, WHO declared coronavirus disease a public health emergency of international concern. On February 11, 2020, the disease was named COVID-19, and by 11th March, it was declared a pandemic at the world level. So a serious crisis erupted for the mankind, for the humanity, and the whole of the world got affected by it. Millions of lives affected, lakhs of lives lost, and India was no exception also. The first case reported in India was in Kerala on 30th of January 2020. And as of now, as per the Hindu website, today morning, there were 7,69,031 cases in India. More than 21,000 deaths have taken place, 21,144 to be exact. And active cases as of now are 271,348, 271,348. So this data highlights the enormity of the crisis. As and when this crisis erupted in India, our response to it started with Janata Curfew on 22nd March. Lockdown began on 24th. Today we are in 107th day of locking down and then unlocking process. So lockdown lockdown extended in phases, and Madam Ji, am I audible? There was some disturbance. Please confirm. Am I going good?
Yes, sir.
Sir, audible hai, sir, audible hai, audible hai.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, okay, sir. Okay.
Thank you very much. Now, then one of the strictest lockdowns all over the world, the lockdowns which were imposed all over the world, India imposed one of the toughest or the strictest lockdowns. There is one report by Oxford University that government response stringency index they prepared. That is, they prepared an index to measure the stringency, how stringent were the acts of the government. And in that it came out, India's lockdown, the earlier one when we started, was the toughest most. Lockdown persisted. The unlocking began in June, and in the meantime, severe damage was done to the economy, inflicting pain, suffering, and chaos to a large segment of humanity. all over the world, and of course in India too. Now, because the problem, our crisis was extraordinary, so it needed some extraordinary response as well. There were some voices, very sane voices, that lockdown shouldn't have been imposed, some other alternative. But the problem with it was that, as Robert Lucas, one of the Nobel laureates, put it, when the best effect of a policy can be realized only when there is an element of surprise in that policy. And this was more so for COVID-19, that is COVID-19 response of lockdown. Why? Had we told that the lockdown will come after 7 days or 10 days, there would have been greater chaos, everybody running home. Of course, this needed to be handled well, this needed to be planned well, or executed a little bit better. But then there were problems. So, not going into that details, some extraordinary responses were given to this situation, this pandemic. For example, Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick told in America, he said that grandparents should be sacrificed. Grandparents should be sacrificed for the cause of Indian economy, for the cause of American economy, particularly for the future of the American youth. Donald Trump also said, the American president, that the cure of the disease cannot be worse than it, meaning thereby that they were giving more importance to their economy rather than their people. But we are fortunate, this was not so in India. However, in India, some people, a large segment suffered, and this was the darker side of the thing. This needed to be managed well. Now, moving on to its effects, or when lockdown happened, what were the effects to us? What were the effect on the Indian economy? Several forecasts made about the growth projections of Indian economy. Several times those have been revised within the lockdown period. Even first came the projections that Indian economy will not grow rapid. The growth will slow down. But by the end of the May, these projections turned into negative, that no growth will take place. In fact, the economy will contract. Economy will go back. For example, World Bank estimates, if we look at recently, World Bank has put it that world economy will shrink by 5.2% in the current financial year. And this will be worst since World War II. Then IMF prediction came in the June, and that global economy will shrink by 4.9%, almost near 5.2% by World Bank and 4.9% by IMF. See, compare it with the previous period. In April, IMF had said that the contraction will be 3%. So within the lock period, what I want to emphasize is within the lock-in period, what happened was the effect of the lockdown or effect of the crisis was so enormous that the estimates were revised downward. Now, as far as Indian economy is concerned, World Bank projection is Indian economy will shrink. I'm giving the latest one, not the revised one earlier that the growth will slow down. I am giving how much it will contract, the final one. That is, Indian economy will shrink by 3.2%. It is World Bank. IMF, 4.5 contraction. Goldman Sachs, 5%. Now, SBI estimates 40% contraction in GDP, State Bank of India. Then CRISIL, credit rating agency, its estimate puts it that recession in India, it is the worst recession in India since independence. So these are 5 responses. There are other agencies and other estimates of independent researchers also. These are enough, I think, to emphasize the fact that there will be contraction. This clearly highlights the severity of the crisis that lockdown has unfolded for us. Then EMF made one very significant observation also in this here, in this context, in the context of growth and prosperity of the people, that the gains we have made in the past 30 years, I mean to say, since the adoption of economic reforms or a new economic policy in 1991, we are going to complete 3 decades of that next year. So the gains in poverty reduction and upliftment of economic well-being of people, poor people, upliftment of poor people, the gains we have made since 1991 may be gone, may be vanished. Just that is, the achievements made in 3 decades will vanish or have vanished within 3 months. This is the seriousness of the crisis. I will come to one more point of this later on, what can we do in future, that it means this type of policy, neoliberalism, capitalism, they have their own limitations for the welfare of the people and all that, but probably persisting with the structure. So serious crisis erupted. Now look at the other aspect of this crisis, that is unemployment rate in India. Now, unemployment rate, which was hovering around 6-7%, shoot up to 27% in May. The source is Center for Monitoring Indian Economy. They have an index where they measure weekly unemployment rate, a rural, urban, and put it on their website. So 27% unemployment rate, that is 1/4 of 1 person in every 4 was rendered unemployed. Then coming ILO estimates, 30%. Now ILO estimates saying 30% of Indian population was facing the risk of sinking below the poverty due to the COVID crisis. Now see, when there are no written formal agreements or contracts with the labor, there is no social security for the labor. There is labor laws are being tweaked in the guise of pandemic. Where will this labor force go? Or how will they survive? What will be the fate of their children? These are some of the serious questions which this crisis posed before us. To add to the story here, to add to this crisis here, let me put this also very clearly here, that this crisis was led the Indian economy to the depression or the lowest, but the crisis was building up slowly. We were in crisis before the onset of this crisis, this COVID-19 pandemic. How? See, our growth rate has been falling over the years, and for 2018-2019, our growth was 4.2%, which had fallen from 8% in 2015, 8.7 in 16, 7 in 17, then around 7 in 18. It was only 4.2% in 2019, which was a 11-year low. 6 quarters, that is a period of 3 months, 6 quarters preceding the lockdown, the last one being January-March 2020 quarter, our growth was just 3.1%. And then came the lockdown, in which we experienced contraction. Even in January 2020, before the onset of the crisis in India, IMF had revised growth forecast for India. It means the crisis was building for us well before COVID-19 pandemic had set in, but this crisis got augmented, got a very serious shape for us with the onset of COVID-19. Now, there is one interesting fact is also there, that NSSO had reported a labor force survey that unemployment was highest in 2018 at 6%. It was a 45-year high at that point of time. One NITI Aayog report I will also like to mention here. In 2019, this report came that in 2018, poverty has increased in 22 states and UTs of India. hunger levels had risen in 24 states of India, and economic inequality had risen in 25 states or union territories of India. So Niti Aayog highlighting that hunger, poverty, inequality, those were on rise in India even before. These were serious policy, there were serious policy concerns about it, and this had to be corrected. But then the worst struck, and it was COVID-19. Now, this shows us how we were heading for a crisis in which we were moved fast, we were pushed forward by the COVID-19. Then coming to the, having discussed this enables us to understand how serious the crisis we have suffered, or particularly those at the margins have suffered. The common man, common people have, of India, of course, all over the world, but I'm restricting my discourse to India itself. So how is Indians suffered? Now, what were the effects of this crisis? Of course, growth rate went down, even not a growth rate, however, they are unemployment, poverty, suffering for the millions is there, and it has long-term implications for the millions of lives in terms of their education, health, their progress, their future, and everything. So all this is going. Unemployment has increased from 6% in the pre-lockdown period to around 6% in April. And here again, one important observation is there. It is informal sector which suffered the most. Informal sector in which 90% of Indian population is engaged. Then 50% of more than 50% of Indian population engaged in self-employment. How much they suffer? So it was a suffering for all of them. Exports fell, imports fell. Then agriculture suffered a setback. There were problems in harvesting the crops. There were problems in the marketing. Even in agriculture, this harvesting and marketing was managed to some extent with problems. However, the horticulture farming, the fruits, vegetables, the farmers of these crops suffered still more. Paddy plantation got hit. We have seen reports, people from Punjab going all the way to Bihar and UP to get labor. There was one curious incident of Malwa region. Paddy was planted. They couldn't settle the remuneration to be paid to the laborers, and in the night laborers go and they deplant, or they uproot all the plants they had planted a day before, just for rupees 200, mismatch between what they wanted and what the farmer wanted to pay. Now, with this, the cost of the farming operations also went up. Then manufacturing was hit, industries were closed, supply side, as a result, supply side disruptions took place. All the economic activity got halted, strangulated rather. Now, one important aspect for the Indian economy on the balance of payments front, foreign remittances of India, they shrank, and they are going to shrink further. India being the largest recipient of the foreign remittances in the world, around it was $69 billion, probably 69 billion US dollars foreign remittances. They will get strangulated. A World Bank estimate puts that there will be at least 25% reduction in these, because our people employed in those countries are suffering unemployment. They will fall back also. Many of them have been falling back. So this will cause problem for us on balance of payment front. Then Sensex and Nifty experienced some of the largest decline. Sensex was down 3,935, almost 4,000 points. That is more than 13% decline on a single day. It ended around 26,000, 25,981. So was the case of Nifty falling 1135 points, 13% decline. It ended around 7,600 and around 14.22 lakh crores of market capitalization of the investors was wiped out in just one day after the lockdown. Indian rupee also suffered setback. Then another important fallout of the lockdown, it was that revenue of the government went down. When economic activity got strangulated, got halted, stuck, of course, the tax collections of the government vanished. From where will the revenue to the government? We have heard finance ministers putting it that when liquor is not on sale, registries are not taking place, and how will we get money and how will we pay the salaries? Then states requesting the center to pay money and warning them they don't have money to pay the salaries. Then that means, in brief, the halting of economic activity squeezed the fiscal space for the government. And when I take up the challenges of lockdown or the challenges before us for future, I will take this point up again there. Then DA was frozen. Even communist ruled state of Kerala, showed its ineligibility. It said that it was not able to pay the salary. See, the philosophy of that government is supposed to be that the communist philosophy, the leftist philosophy is welfare of the workers, but they are finding it hard to pay the salary. Not going into the its fallout was that before opening that, as it is in public domain, that liquor trade was open much before other activities. Then the serious most aspect of the impact of this crisis was the crisis of the migrants. As I have discussed it, shared with you it earlier also, that it could have been handled probably in some other way or in a better way. Although we didn't have very many alternatives, but there was something better we could have done. So we have stories that people walking hundreds, even thousands kilometers to their native places, sometimes without food, sometimes pregnant women delivering a child and within minutes walking back to her village. And when they reach their village, where they get quarantined in toilets, where there is no food, a very inhuman sort of crisis erupted. Then unfortunate accidents also took place. Workers moving to their native places got mauled down under the trucks, vehicle, and even trains. Then even you see those special trains launched for ferrying the workers to their place, Shramik trains. Although government argued that there were not very many deaths, but independent estimates put it that someone put it before the Supreme Court that 80 deaths had taken place up to that time when the hearing took in the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court had to intervene with some very terse and severe comments that this needs to be taken care of, the crisis of the migrants. This was really a very dark side of this phase, a social crisis. It has its making in economic factors also, I will come to later on. But then there were some positive stories also. One I would like to share because of the prominence of it, that Jyoti, a 15-year-old girl, cycling, pedaling 1200 kilometers from Sikandarpur near Gurgaon to Darbhanga in Bihar. Her ailing father, she took back. This is the human spirit. But this type of incidents are exceptions rather than the rule. The most of the people suffered. That is the reality. Then NGOs and some people at their own independent levels also helped, and they helped to reduce the pain of this crisis. And one observation I would like to make here also, it reflects very poorly on our liberal democracy that this type of crisis took place. Another aspect where a bit different from COVID-19, but probably, but which is sorry, but which is also the outcome or fallout of this COVID-19 crisis will be. And thank you. Just a minute, please. Just for 1 minute. Now, one of the this will cause a serious dent in some of our noble objectives, noble aims of the long term. We were expecting to be a 5 trillion economy by 2024. 2024 तक ਆਪਾਂ 5 trillion economy बनना चाहते सी, but I think this crisis will not let us realize that dream of ours. Similarly, another achievement or another we want to achieve something else, and it was that by 2022 we wanted to double the income of the farmer, or at least 50% profit over and above the cost of production for them, over and above the cost of production for the farmers. I think we will not be able to realize that dreams of ours also. Here, one thing also comes that even probably for the betterment of the mankind, we may not be able to realize, or the whole of the world, what we know as sustainable development goals in the specified time frame by 2030. But still, rather than these making these achievements, as of now, survival of the life, as our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi ji, put it in G20 virtual meeting, lives are more precious. So we need to survive first, and then economy will be taken care of. This has been the philosophy of Indian government, and rightly so, since the onset of the crisis. Now, this part helps us to understand that the crisis was really serious, and almost all the sectors affected by it. However, with the passage of time, we will come out of it. Maybe some sectors will feel the pain for longer, like the sector of airlines, hospitality, tourism, restaurants, etc. They will feel the pain, the pinch, the suffering for a bit longer time period. I will come back to that again in a span of minutes. Now, the next, having experienced the crisis, what was our response? What did we do? What could have been done? We will come to that. But what was the response of the government? What could we do? And it was in response to the crisis after lockdown, the government began to declare a series of initiatives for facing the crisis. The first being PM Garib Kalyan Yojana. Under it, in this scheme, the provision was made to give free food to around 80 crore people of India, 5 kg ration and 1 kg chana dal, to around 80 crore people. Then recently, the scheme has been extended. Earlier it was for 3 months, then it has been extended till November end. This will ensure that food masses are secure on the food front. Their food security will be ensured, and probably they will not sleep empty stomach. So their basic need of food will be fulfilled. Then there were several relief measures taken by the RBI in company with the government also. A package of 50,000 crores of rupees, later on merged with Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. FDI policies were changed to protect the Indian companies from the hostile takeovers. in the period of crisis. Then 15,000 crore fund was created for the frontline healthcare warriors. There were exemptions or extensions in GST and income tax return filing, etc. Payment of EMIs was deferred twice till August end. Borrowing rates, repo rate and reverse repo rate, etc., were lowered to a significantly low level. Repo rate is probably at 4% and repo rate 3.3% at present. PF contributions, the government promised to make PF contributions for those workers who were earning 15,000. There were some other conditions also. So this way government made, there was a scheme for vendors also. So this was, that's how some efforts were made by the government to face the crisis. Then the largest of these efforts was Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, rupees 20 lakh crore package. It was said to be 10% of the GDP with special benefits for MSMEs. MSMEs were redefined. Very an important change here was made, that MSMEs, micro, small and medium enterprises, which were earlier defined under MSMED Act, Development Act 2006, have been redefined in May and June. Although there were voices in February 19, Mr. Nitin Gadkari said, then Madam Nirmala Sitharaman ji said, and then again Mr. Gadkari, that they were revising, and in the time of this crisis, it was revised. Where the changes made, sorry, the changes made were that to keep pace with the time, I'm not going into that. A composite criteria has been introduced. Manufacturing and service enterprises have been clubbed. Earlier, we used to define these on the basis of investment limit. Now, investment limit and annual turnover is also there. If this was revised again for the medium enterprise. So then 3 lakh crores of collateral free loan was also made available to MSMEs. Garib Kalyan Rozgar Yojana was there to give employment to the returned migrants for 4 months. Then World Bank also committed $2.7 billion to the Indian economy. And even at the world level, a G20 virtual meet where our Prime Minister Modi had also joined, the leaders of the world, the leading economies of the world, they promised that $5 trillion will be pumped into the world economy to save it from, to enable it to face the crisis of the COVID-19. Now, these were some of the efforts made. However, this Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, a large part of it had already been announced, and as dissected by one of the leading economists of the country, Mr. M.G. Govinda Rao, his institute, National Public Finance, he is a public finance economics specialist. So what he worked out, that it was only 2.1 lakh crore, that is around 2 lakh crore. Out of this 20 lakh crore, only 2 lakh crore was in the form of a stimulus package. And here the government looks to, needs to look more and do something of that kind. I'm coming to that. So, but now what should be done if we take up that, which is also there? The silver lining is that, I don't know what should have been done, but then because it came to my notice, just before yesterday, Niti Aayog CEO Amitabh Kant, while speaking at FICCI Frames, said that I'm hopeful we will bounce back and bounce back with a vengeance. So we have, in fact, we have started to bounce back. We are bouncing back. Green shoots are visible all in the economy. Few facts I will share. I would like to share with you what he said. First of all, that fact that in April, GST collections of the government were 32,000 crores. Now I'm keeping in pace with time. I'm being a bit specific so that I'm able to wind within 5 to 7 minutes. So ma'am, do you allow me around 10 minutes, please? Hello, ma'am. Are you there? Anyone of the organizer?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I have, because my time was up to 12. So I have 4 minutes
Yes, sir.
left. Can I have 5 to 7 minutes more?
5 minutes, sir.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Within 9 minutes.
Okay, sir.
Now, the green shoots were visible that GST has gone up. Likewise, employment for the week ending June, by the end of June, again 7.8%. That is, we are again in the process of picking up. Employment is picking up. Tax collections of the government are picking up. And in those very predictions made by IMF and World Bank, where they said Indian economy will contract in this year, they have made predictions that it will grow around, I'm not giving into the data now, 3%, 4% in the financial year 2021. Our former governor V. Subbarao had said that we will experience a V-shaped recovery. And at best, if it is not V-shaped recovery, that is falling steep and then rising steep again, once the COVID-19 is controlled, I think it will be U-shaped recovery. And the bottom of the U will prolong as long as the vaccine is not available. So one important fact I would like to make, that this crisis has given us an opportunity. This crisis has given us an opportunity, as Principal Sir has also said, to revisit our policies towards our agriculture. Because agriculture has been a neglected lot in the past in the policies of the government, and we need to revise or at least revisit those policies for the betterment of the masses, for the betterment of the people of the country. We have policies like transferring funds into their accounts, PM Garib Kisan Yojana like that, and we must continue with that. We may have Nyaya-like scheme, Manrega needs to be strengthened. Then what we need to do is we need to boost consumption and investment. That can be elaborated. How? We need to put money into the pockets of the people. We need to devise. There are options, but not going into those details. Then we have to ensure food security of the people. Government has already in the process of implementing One Nation, One Ration Card scheme. It was to be implemented by June 2020. Probably it has been extended up to March 2021. But when this scheme is implemented, it will help us a long way in managing these migrant-like crises. That can be elaborated. So then we need not miss our middle class. This DA freeze, no salary revision, this will not be good for the economy also. So we need to look into that also and for that finances of the government need to be strengthened. This will, of course, probably when the economic activity takes up. And one important aspect is that this crisis has showed us the human vulnerability. Believe it, human beings are not invincible before the forces of nature. The ways of the God, the ways of the nature are unpredictable. We have to adopt simple ways of life. We have to follow human values. We have to be humanistic. This is also one of the lessons from, and this is what we have to do. If we follow this type of behavior, this type of lifestyle, I would have elaborated on it, but I'm skipping. Then this way go a long way with us to enable us to manage the crisis inflicted on us by COVID-19. Then, as I said earlier, this could have been very helpful for us to manage the migrant crisis. Then, why so? Because economics is not all about profit or growth. It is about welfare. It is about ethics also. Because when there are ethics and values, when ethics and values are integrated into it, that brings forth a very humane nature of economics before us. Otherwise, of course, we will be called inhuman or dismal, as our sciences, some people put it that dismal science or inhuman science. One important aspect can be it is time to rethink our new liberal and capitalism-based policies as well. Because Financial Times, a daily in the London, has put it that probably all over the world, this these policies will be revised, these policies will be reevaluated. Then, in brief, putting before some challenges, the situation is highly fluid and dynamic. WHO is yesterday said that COVID-19 can be airborne. Then Punjab government yesterday, day before yesterday, Punjab cabinet meeting saying that next 3-4 weeks are very critical. People need to be well aware. E-registration has started. These kind of things will create panic, uncertainty, and until and unless these are controlled, we have challenges. Then fiscal space for the governments is very limited. That can be elaborated, but I'm skipping in. How will the governments realize their revenues and then cope up with the challenges put forward by this? Then, above all, as responsible citizens, our response is called for. You see, Japan, New Zealand, South Korea, these are the countries which have managed this crisis even without strict lockdowns. How? Very responsible and disciplined behavior of their citizens. I had data and I had examples, but moving on to the concluding part. So what then administration has to be very efficient also. Recent reports, our administrators getting infected seriously by this disease. So that all counts. But the worldwide experience show, and where the response of the citizens has not been good, there the lockdowns have been imposed again. Bolivia is one example. Melbourne, 2 days back, Melbourne has been locked down again for 6 weeks because the response of the citizens, the response of the people was not as expected. Italy, America also suffered on that count. Now concluding is, so a very serious crisis humanity has faced. Pain has been inflicted on all of us, but seizing an opportunity, every crisis is an opportunity in itself as well. We have to seize our opportunities. We have to look for those opportunities. Government has to give policy support, and with that, probably we will come up strong out of this crisis. However, remember, balance has to be maintained here between economic recovery and safety of the public. And in that, our is the contribution, which is very important. It is easier said than done, but here lies, as per mine ideas, here lies the survival of the humanity and the future of the prosperity of the humanity. Humanity will bounce back. It will definitely bounce back. And for that, we will have to be human also. Thank you very much. Probably I took some more time than allotted to me. But again, thanks to all the DPPC, sir, the principal, sir, the organizing team, all the participants for being patiently with me. And once again, my great thanks to my friend, my brother, rather younger brother, Dr. Gopi Sharma, for helping me all the way. And above all, Dr. Bharat Bhushan, who made me in your August company. I would have wished that we would have discussed it for long and face to face. But of course, the problems, the limitations of the time, the circumstances, definitely, I look forward to be in your August company sometime. Once again, thanks to all, and any error, any mistake I may have committed, I seek your forgiveness before you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. It was really an enlightening and wonderful session, and it was really beneficial for all of us. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Now, we have with us our respected resource person, Dr. Pooja Sikka, Assistant Professor in Economics, University Institute of Law, Punjab University, Regional Center, Ludhiana. Dr. Pooja Sikka has cleared her UGC NET as JRF in 2005 and completed her PhD on the topic Economic Growth, Income Inequality and Public Policy in India in 2011 from Punjab University, Patiala. She is having more than 15 years of teaching experience. Dr. Pooja Sikka has presented more than 20 papers in national and international seminars, and more than 12 papers have been published in various reputed and referred journals. She has also organized one international seminar and many webinars. So now I request Madam Dr. Pooja Sikka to move further in this webinar. Madam Pooja Sikka.
Am I audible, ma'am? Manpreet,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Honorable Chief Guest, Professor Sanjay Kaushik, respected Principal Sir, Dr. Surinder Singh Thakur, eminent keynote speaker, Mr. Vikram Singh, members of Organization Committee, IQAC Coordinator, Dr. Bharat Bhushan, convener of the seminar, Mrs. Manpreet Kaur, faculty members, non-teaching staff, and dear students. First of all, I would like to thank the principal, Guru Nanak College, Kilyawali, for giving me an opportunity to present my views on this platform. I am grateful to you, sir. So far, as the topic of today's webinar is concerned, it was very informative talk given by worthy keynote speaker, Mr. Vikram sir. Sir has already given a detailed view of whole topic. Now coming to the topic, that is decoding economic shocks caused by COVID-19. I'm going to open my PPT. Please wait for a second. Can you see my PPT on the screen? Can you see?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, COVID-19, which has become officially a global pandemic now, is one of the biggest threat and causing serious impacts to the global economy. And this was also declared a national emergency by the World Health Organization. Now, this COVID-19 pandemic is inflicting, in true sense, two kinds of shocks. It is not only the economic shock that we are suffering, it is a health shock too. Next is when in order to contain this coronavirus, there were several policy measures taken by the government of India, which include imposition of social distancing, self-isolation at home, closure of institutions, and restrictions on mobility. Now, in order to contain this deadly disease, what the government need to do was to stop the country and stop its normal functioning. And that is why people are in panic, and so are the governments. Now, this panic is so widespread that except few nations, all the other nations were forced to observe either full or partial lockdown to protect their population. Now, these actions can potentially lead to the dire consequences for economies around the world. The economy, hardly any sector in the economy is left which is not experiencing the pangs of this global pandemic. Now, this has also triggered fears of deep and prolonged global recession. According to the chief of International Monetary Fund, he has said that this year 2020 could see the worst global economic fallout.
मैडम पूजा आप अपने आप अनम्यूट करो मैडम पूजा हेलो मैडम पूजा हेलो मैडम कैन यू ऑडिबल मी हेलो
Yes, sir.
Madam Pooja.
Yes, sir. Am I audible now? Hello?
अब ठीक मैडम पूजा, अब ठीक है। पहले आपने अपने आप को म्यूट कर लिया था। अब ठीक है जी, अब ठीक है।
Shall I start my presentation from the beginning?
Continue, madam, continue.
Okay, fine, sir. Yes, am I audible now?
Audible है madam, audible है.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
So, I was talking about according to the chief of International Monetary Fund, the year 2020 could see the worst global economic fallout since the Great Depression in the 1930s. And it is also expected that over 170 countries in the world can experience negative per capita GDP growth. Now, when we talk about India, in case of India, the situation is more worse. Why it is so worse? Because there is no help for small businessmen and there are no unemployment benefits that the other developing countries are providing to their population. Now, in case of India, the unemployment has reached at the shocking levels. The businesses which were closed on temporary basis, now they are closed on permanent basis. Now, rebuilding to this pre-crisis level of employment and output may take years. And World Bank and credit rating agencies have downgraded India's growth performance with the lowest figures that India had observed since economic liberalization in the year 1990s. Now, while acknowledging that this COVID-19 has derailed many strategies and shifted our focus from long-term planning to the immediate demands. What are the immediate demands that we need? And now this crisis will generally become more multi-layered and it will be like complex in nature and it will cause more widespread human suffering in case of Indian scenario. Now, in such a situation, there are two prime questions confronting the economy. The first one is, which kind of economic shocks the country is suffering from in terms of macroeconomic perspective? And the second one is, whether or not the measures that the government of India is taking for economic recovery, will these measures let the economy to get back to its new normal situations? Now I'm going to discuss these two questions in my presentation. Now, decoding the macroeconomic perspective from COVID-19 point of view. If we talk about the process of economic growth, it is a highly complex phenomenon, the economic growth. It is mainly influenced by four factors: human factors, physical factors, natural factors, and technology. And the two main components of economic growth are increase in aggregate demand and increase in aggregate supply. Am I audible? Yes, please tell organizers. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, putting it in simple way, economic growth means there is an increase in what? National output and national income. And it happens when there is increase in real GDP. Now question arises, then what does it mean by the contraction in GDP in real life? Contraction in GDP means income will drop, jobs will be lost, and output will fall. Now there are 4 channels through which the impact will get transmitted to the output growth. And these are number 1 and number 2 belongs to the external category, and number 3 and number 4 belongs to the internal category, internal front. Now talking about first factor, that is external supply and demand constraints due to the global recession that the country is facing right now. And because of this disease, there is disruption of the global supply chains. Why disruptions? Because many countries have sealed their borders, no export is being taking place. And then at the internal level, at the internal front, domestic supply disruptions because of the lockdowns and decline in domestic demand. These points I will take into consideration in rest of my presentation as well. Now, before coming to explain the effects of economic shocks caused by COVID-19, I would like to highlight the economy in the times of pre-COVID-19. Immediate prior to this disease of COVID-19, what kind of situation the Indian economy was going through. I would like to have some views on it also. Economy in the times of pre-COVID-19. Now, this COVID-19 pandemic was an unexpected shock to the global economy that we all know. And this shock is playing out almost similar kind of role in all the countries. And there has been demand and supply disruptions, and countries are suffering from economic slowdown. But in case of India, the problem might be more acute and more longer. Why it is so? Because the economy was already in the poor state before the COVID-19 also. Now this crisis comes at a time when India's GDP growth was already slowing down and unemployment was on the rise owing to the poor economic performance from the last several years. Now, by the time the first COVID-19 case was reported in India, the economy had already deteriorated significantly after years of poor performance. According to the official estimate, GDP growth slowed to 4.7% in 2019. This figure, that is 4.7% in 2019, is the lowest since 2013. Then unemployment reached a 45-year high. Again, the industrial output from the 8 core sectors at the end of 2019 fell by 5.2%, and it was also worse in the last 14 years. Then the private investment had been also declining, and consumption expenditure was also falling. If we go about the indicators of urban consumption demand, that tells us that sale of passenger vehicles as well as consumer durable growth contracted in February 2020. Among the indicators of rural consumption, motorcycle sales and consumer non-durable segment remained in contraction. Now, from the above discussion, it follows that the economy was before getting hit by this shock, it will potentially worsen the effect of this shock. This is especially because of 3 reasons. Number 1 reason is that now the financial sector, which is the brain of the economy, has not been functioning properly. The second reason is that why Indian economy will be affected by more is macroeconomic policy space to respond to such crisis is very limited. And the third one is, now initially before this pre-COVID-19 situation, Indian economy was experiencing only a demand slowdown, but now both the demand and the supply have been disrupted. Now, to understand the economic shocks, it is very essential to understand supply and demand shocks. Am I audible? Yes, organizing committee, please respond.
हाँ जी मैम.
Okay, fine, thank you. Now, in order to understand the economic shocks, it is very essential to understand the supply and demand shock. Now, in response to this COVID-19 outbreak, different measures were made and it led to the controlled shutdown of entire sectors of the economy. And these sectors, in case of which high physical contact is required. High physical contact is required in the states like in the firms like restaurant, hairdressers, airlines, and other service sector industries. And now, on the one hand, authorities forced many establishments to close and send their workers home. And on the other hand, consumers themselves also reduce their consumption. It means that institutions also close their establishments and their work. And on the other hand, consumers also have reduced their consumption of the services. Now, furthermore, as workers in some of the service sector lost their jobs and also their income, they also reduces their purchase of goods and services. So this lead to the reduction in demand for goods and services across the whole country. Now, what is meant by the supply shock? Supply shock is something that reduces the economy's ability to produce goods and services at given price. Because of the supply shock was caused by the various lockdown announced by government from time to time, and public health authorities and employers preventing service workers also from doing their jobs can also be thought of as a supply shock. As industries were closed during the lockdown, service sector personas could not perform. And now the demand shock. Demand shock, on the other hand, is something that reduces the consumer ability or willingness to purchase goods and services at given price. Now the consumer's ability to purchase goods and services is reduced when consumer has little income than before. And why he is now not willing to purchase the non-essential goods? Because safety measures, for safety point of view, he or she is avoiding this. Now people staying at home and not going to the restaurants or the movie theaters because of the fear of the infection is an example of demand shock. And moreover, these kinds of establishments are also not open for the people also in some of the countries. Additionally, as service workers lost their jobs, they may stop purchasing other goods. Now for this to offset, monetary and fiscal policy. Monetary and fiscal policy can be used to offset the aggregate demand shocks that the RBI is already doing. But other policies need to be taken into place to stabilize the economy after a supply shock. Now, understanding of whether a shock is a supply shock or a demand shock, it is very important. Why it is important? To design and implementation of the stabilization policies. Now, in the next slide, I am going to present the impact of economic shock. The impact of this economic shock can be explained through a very simple example. Now, suppose whole of the Indian economy is one person and her income in 2020, her income in 2021 would be less than it was in 2019-20. At least this is what the latest World Bank forecast tells us. Now, World Bank has released its Global Economic Prospects report. It expects that the GDP of a country can be contracted by 3.2% in the year 2020-21. However, it also announced that in the next year, that means in the year 2021 and 2022, GDP will be less. GDP recovery will be around 3.1%. Now, to be sure, India is not the only country which is facing this kind of situation. Now, this pandemic has come with uncertainty, and it has some implications on all the aspects of business across the world. In case of India, importance, I suppose. Yes, in case of India, India is little ahead of some of the countries. Why it is little ahead of some of the countries? Because it was able to implement work from home measures. But these work from home measures were confined only to the white collar jobs. And because of this, months of lockdown resulted in the free fall of employment. It was only in the late May that the economy reopened and some jobs were then open to the people. And then after zonal segmentation of districts, research has showed that the worst affected areas were those which were included in the orange and red zones. And they were largely the urban economy. Now, segments including consumer retail expected to see sharp falls depending on the market. In the consumer retail sector, for the big players, this meant something like operating with less than full capacity. But for the small businessmen, it was more than operating at the less than full capacity, because it depends that how long these small businessmen could ride out the storm created by the COVID-19. But one thing that is very sure is that this pandemic has changed daily lifestyles drastically. Now, even as this coronavirus pandemic has impacted many sectors, agriculture, industry, and then service sector, formal, informal, both. But there is one thing that I want to share here is agriculture could be the only bright spot, as real agriculture is likely to witness a 2.5% growth in the year 2021. Now, coming to how long the shock will continue. There are three major components of aggregate demand. They are consumption, investment, and exports. So these three components are likely to stay subdued for a prolonged period of time. The longer the crisis lasts, the more difficult it will be for the firms to stay afloat. And it is at this stage, it is very difficult to fully comprehend the extent of this shock, but the situation can be more clear once this health shock is cleared out. Now, coming to what government is doing, government response to mitigate the economic shock. For the government, this COVID-19 pandemic was a surprise also and was unexpected also. But at the same time, it was the opportunity for the government also to implement some bold reforms. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi did seem to grab this opportunity. And on 12th May, Prime Minister announced a stimulus package of 20 lakh crore, which had two key objectives. The first objective was to provide immediate relief to the individuals and firms impacted by the lockdown. And second one was to prepare the Indian companies specifically those in the MSME sector. Now, Nirmala Sitharaman, the Finance Minister of India, also provided the breakup of Prime Minister Modi's 20 lakh crore COVID stimulus for India. But the question, which is very important, is again, will this 20 lakh crore stimulus will put India back on the growth agenda? The expectations are, however, high, despite the fact that experts from the field doubt this kind of magic. Now, coming to the what kind of expected recovery path the Indian economy can go through. For estimating recovery of the global economy, there are three main approaches that are currently being used, and that are V-shaped, U-shaped, and W-shaped recovery. Now, the World Economic Outlook report has predicted that the recovery could be V-shaped and the economy will rebound at the rate of 5.8% in 2021. But if this disease persists for a little longer than U-shaped recovery, then the situation little longer, then we can expect a U-shaped recovery, because how long this U will be the down, the the lowest point will be, it will depend on the length of this disease. Then the IMF Managing Director has warned us that the V-shaped recovery is very over enthusiastic estimate, and it is very, however, our Finance Secretary, Mr. Somanathan, has in one online conferences has admitted that this year could bring the bottom of the V, and the next year it will be close to the top of the V. So coming to the conclusion is that the first priority of the government of India should be that people don't starve and deprived of the basic necessities for survival, because the hungry workers cannot kickstart the economy. The government should take some strong fiscal stimulus for the poor, which would help them financially. And if the government is going to give the money directly to the poor, and it will also manage the consumer demand also. And the path back to growth under COVID-19 will depend upon many drivers, and these drivers are like the degree to which the demand will be delayed or foregone, whether we will postpone our demand or we will leave it forever, and whether this shock is truly a spike or it will last long, and whether the economy has received any structural damage from this COVID pandemic or not. And in the end, I would like to highlight that the three kind of policies, that are fiscal, monetary, and public health measures, can help to restore the confidence. But yes, of course, it cannot offset the immediate disruptions that result from the enforced shutdowns and travel restrictions. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. It was really a knowledgeable session, and definitely your word gave new outlook to our thinking. Thank you. Thank you once again, ma'am. Now, I would request to Dr. Bharat Bhushan, coordinator of I2AC, to thank all the dignitaries.
मैं डॉक्टर भारत भूषण, आंतरिक गुणवत्ता आश्वासन सेल गुरु नानक कॉलेज इलियांवाली के विभिन्न विभागों के साथ मिलकर करवाए जा रहे श्री गुरु तेग बहादुर जी के 400 सालों प्रकाश पूर्व की वेबिनारों की लड़ी के आज तीसरे वेबिनार में के मुख्य गेस्ट, आज के जो मुख्य गेस्ट थे, मुख्य मेहमान थे, डॉक्टर संजय कौशिक जी, डीन कॉलेज डेवलपमेंट काउंसिल पंजाब यूनिवर्सिटी चंडीगढ़, और आज के मुख्य वक्ता डॉक्टर विक्रमजीत सिंह शेरगिल, SPN कॉलेज मुकेरियां, और आज के रिसोर्स पर्सन डॉक्टर पूजा सिक्का, पंजाब यूनिवर्सिटी रीजनल सेंटर जी का आज इस वेबिनार में अपने बहुमूल्य समय देने के लिए उनका कॉलेज की तरफ से, इंटरनल क्वालिटी इंश्योरेंस सेल की तरफ से और कॉलेज मैनेजमेंट की तरफ से हार्दिक धन्यवाद। इसके साथ साथ देश के विभिन्न भागों से जुड़े इस वेबिनार की लड़ी में प्रतिभागी के रूप में सभी प्रतिभागियों का हार्दिक धन्यवाद। कॉलेज के समूह प्राध्यापक और गैर अध्यापन अमला और साथ जो टेक्निकल टीम है, प्रोफेसर आशीष बागला जी, मैडम गुरविंदर कौर जी और प्रोफेसर प्रिंस सिंगला जी का भी इस सारे योगदान के लिए हार्दिक धन्यवाद।
Thank you, sir. Thank you all. Thank you all for making this event a successful with your contribution. Thank you. Thank you
मैडम
all.
मैडम 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 मनप्रीत, सबके रिक्वेस्ट करो कि हमारी लगातार सीरीज है उसमें लगातार ज्वाइन करते रहें।
हाँ जी सर, हाँ जी सर, डेफिनेटली सर ने ਤੁਹਾਡਾ मैसेज सुन ही लिया होना है।
हाँ
So
मैडम
all the
पूजा,
participants please requested है जी।
मैडम पूजा धन्यवाद जी, पूजा सिक्का मैडम।
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving the opportunity, sir.
नहीं नहीं मैम, इट इज अवर ऑनर और थैंक यू, आपने टाइम दिया। आगे विक्रम सिंह जी सुन रहे हैं मेरी आवाज, कहीं आ रही है विक्रम सिंह जी? विक्रम जी मेरी आवाज आ रही है आपको? हेलो विक्रम जी मेरी आवाज आ रही है?
हेलो,
विक्रम जी मेरी आवाज आ रही है?
आ रही सर, आ रही है। आई एम विद यू सर।
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू सर, आपका भी धन्यवाद जी। और सभी जो पार्टिसिपेंट थे, जो टीचर या पार्टिसिपेंट, उन सबका वंस अगेन थैंक यू जी, धन्यवाद। मैडम कर दो आप।
हाँ जी सर, ओके सर।
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू वेरी मच।